Hello everybody, and this is a video showing off my garden, my backdoor fruit garden that I got here. Obviously in my backyard. It's filled with a ton of stuff, and I'm just going to go from plant to plant, giving you an idea about what I'm doing and what I'm growing back here. And as you can see, this is the main body of my plants and stuff, but that's not where we're going to start. Where we're going to start is right over here at my peach plant, which is the only thing that I really got going that's fruiting this year, although pretty much everything in this backyard is fruit. And this particular tree is a Reliance peach tree, and it started fruiting pretty much the second year that I got it. This is the second or third year that I was actually able to get peaches growing on it. As you can see, there's some on this branch too. And it's not really in the best real estate of the backyard. I got a limited amount of light, as you can see here. So I have to pretty much push everything towards the back of my yard in order to get everything to start growing real good. Now this tree, she's a beauty, isn't she? Now this one's growing really good. It's got probably the best real estate in the backyard. It's my contender peach tree. And this is not fruited yet. I got a few flowers on it last year. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm speaking too soon because I can actually see one lone fruit growing there on my contender. I didn't actually see that before now. All right. So I will go back and say that I guess I got fruit on this tree as well. Albeit one small tiny fruit on this humongous tree. But I expect tons next year since I got this other peach tree in close proximity. I should be able to get a ton of peaches next year. Now earlier in the winter, I planted a bunch of apple trees. This is one of them. I believe this one to be a Golden Delicious. This is either a Golden Delicious or a Red Delicious. And again, this one's probably not in the best real estate, but I have lots of apple trees. And this has only been around 1 year, or this is going on its first year. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get lots more growth next year. And I bought these from a place in Georgia. They were on a deal, so I picked up a bunch of them. So now moving on to my next tree. This one is another apple, and this one's either a Red Delicious or a Golden Delicious. I guess I'll find out when it actually bears fruit. As you can see, it's doing a little bit better than the other one, but still, you know, hasn't fruited yet. We're going to be able to see. I bought all the apple trees at the same time, so all right. So moving along now, this one here, this one in the very back corner is a cherry tree. This is a semi-dwarf cherry tree that makes pie cherries. Not the very, very sweet ones, but I forget the particular variety, but this is a semi-dwarf cherry tree, and there's another one on the other side of the yard. Now, going over there, we're going to go right between all of these blackberry plants. And as you can see, some of them not doing so hot, but others, boy, doing really well. And I got these little blackberries growing there. Should be another month, and I'll be able to get some blackberries, or whatever the birds don't get off the tree. They usually get about half of my crop. And I got 6 of these, you know, and they're doing really well. I got some last year from them as well, and they did taste really, really good. And I got some turning color here. Here's a pink one. That will turn black here in a few days, and hopefully I'll catch it before the birds do. And moving on now, this is my second semi-dwarf cherry tree. And this one's doing good. I had some cherries on this year, but the birds got them. Those birds, I think I got maybe 2, but no. Next year, hopefully I'll get a bunch, and maybe I'll have to put some deer netting around this tree, but until then, I will just have to wait until next season. Okay, so moving on. Now I got these plants here. Now those may look like the blackberry plants, but these are actually raspberries, these four here. And you're probably wondering why they're in these planters here. Well, I had them towards the back of the yard, and they were not doing hot. So I'm planning on trying to figure out the best place to put them once I actually strategize the best place to put them. That should be in a few days here, but it's kind of like a Tetris game. Got to make sure all the pieces fit correctly in order to get the best results. And over here next to those raspberries is my stevia plant, and it's not usually out here, My stevia plant is a sweet leaf plant, and I leave it in the back because it seems to do better in the shade. But for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is a very, very sweet leaf type plant, hence the name sweet leaf. And you just snip a little bit off of it from time to time and you know, store it away for whenever you want to use it for baking or what have you, teas. All right, so now moving on. All right, so this is another apple tree, and this one is a Granny Smith sour apple tree. And I think this one is doing the best out of all of them. It's the first one to leaf out this year. And hopefully this will get me some apples next year, hopefully, with any luck, that is. And now, moving on to these 3 plants right here. These are usually, during the winter time, I bring these in because these are my citrus trees. One of them is a dwarf lime, the other one's a dwarf lemon, and another one is a dwarf orange. Now, 2 of them have thorns, 1 of them do not. I don't particularly remember, but these are just doing fantastic. I mean, you do have to bring them inside, but hey, you know, you get free oxygen that way. So, yeah, I'll take it. So anyway, moving on now to my blueberry plants, which aren't doing too particularly hot because I found some popcorn containers, and I thought I would just throw them in there, and those aren't holding up too well, so I'm going to have to repot them. But one of them right here doesn't seem to mind it, so they're looking to do fairly well. Have not got any blueberries yet, but hopefully next year with any kind of luck. And moving on to the last tree in the backyard here. This is a pear tree. There's 2 varieties of pears on one tree, so that they're able to actually fertilize one another and able to produce fruit on the tree. For those of you who don't know, you have to have 2 varieties of pears in order to get any kind of fruit. So that was the reasoning behind getting the 2-in-1 pear tree. And I think I got this from Stark Brothers, but I'm not absolutely certain. Majority of everything here came from Gurney's and Stark Brothers, but except for the apples, which came from Georgia, and I can't remember those off the top of my head. But this hasn't fruited yet. This is also just a year old, like my apples. So hopefully this will get me some pears in the next couple of years. All right. So moving on to the last fruit plant. This is another raspberry that I have yet to put in a pot or move. But this one was the furthest inward in the backyard, so I thought I would give it a chance, you know, to see how it would do without actually having to transplant it, because, you know, as many of you gardeners know, it shocks the plant and isn't really good for it in the long run. So, okay, so that does it for the backyard, and that's pretty much everything except for the 1 tree in my front yard, which I will transport you to through the magic of editing. So this here is another one of my apple trees. This is another Granny Smith. It was planted this year, so, you know, no apples yet, but hopefully next year it will actually produce apples. And usually you'd have to have another apple tree in close proximity, but lucky enough, my neighbor has a crabapple tree, which will actually fertilize the tree. So hopefully when it does start to get flowers and everything, I will get some apples. All right, so in summation, that's been my garden. I hope you guys, you know, got anything out of it. If you do have any questions or you want to ask a question, don't hesitate to ask. Hit me up in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe, like, all that stuff if you'd like to hear more and what have you. And with that being said, thank you all very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time.